guys, welcome back to 2D Web Solutions, episode 4, where you ask questions and we find solutions. I'm Kerry Carron, founder of Ultimate Solution LLC.
And I'm Arelthia Phillips, founder of Pintop Solutions, LLC. Remember, you may submit your web design development questions anytime on our website, 2dwebsolutions.com, for our next episode.
So today's topic is setting yourself up for success. Let's start out with question number 1 and get right down to it. You ready, Arelthia?
Yes, I am ready.
All right. So how did you find your first customer or client?
It's interesting because my first customer, I had a website and they came to me and said, "Hey, I want one of those too. Can you create me a website?" And I created it for free. That was the first customer. Okay, but then the first paid customer. That customer, I didn't even know that people were paying for this kind of stuff. So it was like, "Hey, I see you have a website and I need one to sell this and sell that, and can you create one for me?" I'm like, "Sure." Thinking to myself, I can do this. I've never done it before, but I can do it. And so I created him a website for a little teeny bit of money, and I'm like, "Oh my goodness, okay." And so then I was like, wow, people actually pay for this. And so that was an eye-opener for me. What about you, Kerry?
I have a similar story. Like I said, I was kind of doing web design, just HTML websites as a hobby, helping out a friend, and then got into WordPress a little bit. And the first update for WordPress came in this little group I was hanging out, and they're all like, "Oh, last time I did one of these, it broke my website. Can you update my website?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I can update your website." And they're like, "Well, I'll give you $50 for it." And I'm like, "What?" Like, really? I'm like, and then I got thinking, oh, yeah, I do want to start a work-from-home business. I could do this for a living. I could install WordPress, and I could do updates for people. And I'm like, wow, okay, cool. So, yeah, my first customer was a friend of a friend who needed a WordPress website updated.
Okay.
Yep.
So it sounds like, those first customers just kind of stumbled upon us. What intentional steps, Kerry, did you take or put into place to get paid customers after that?
Well, it was real interesting because when you first get into business, of course, you have no idea how to price things. And you're like, how much should I price for this? And, of course, you're willing to take anything you get at that point, too, because you think you have to. So what I did was I evaluated what skills I had, and I wanted to be realistic in the services or products that I offered. So I literally sat down and specifically designed or developed the exact service that I was going to provide, whether it be installing WordPress, exactly which theme I was going to use or which themes I was going to give them options of using, plugins that were going to come with the installation, the price point that I had. And I also, at that point in time, developed my terms of service and just gave them the flow of how to start a project with me, what to expect during the project, and what it was going to be like at the end of the project. So I really set those boundaries for myself right from the beginning. And I think it really helped me in sticking to my own boundaries because, like I said, at first, and everybody's going to try to ask for a cheaper price. Yeah. They always do. So it was very easy for me to eventually, I guess it wasn't really easy for me at first, but I had those boundaries and I knew what they were, and then it was a matter of learning how to enforce them. Yeah. So did you do anything specific in getting yourself set up for having paid customers?
For me, I started out a little bit different to get paid customers.
And what did you have going on?
What I did was I set out, I spent some time in some forums seeing what people were looking for, what they needed, what they feel like they were not already receiving, what they really wanted, what the real problem was, and then I set out to provide them with the solution to what they wanted. And so that helped me to be able to, like you said, sit down and figure out what I wanted to offer them based on what they already needed. So.
That's a brilliant way to approach it because meeting somebody's needs is always gonna be pretty easy to bring in a paid side of that at least.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so what products and services do you currently offer your clients?
Right now I offer, basic plugin development. So if they want a custom WordPress plugin, I offer custom WordPress plugins. If they want to tweak a WordPress plugin to make it work exactly the way they want it to work, I offer those services as well. And then for my website development services, I offer them, like services like PSD to WordPress development, whether it's Genesis or iThemes Builder. Pretty much those are the only two WordPress themes that I work with at the time. Um, and so with those services, I also offer for my customers that come to me, because I have a special group of customers that my heart is truly like my special customers, and
Mm-hmm.
those are like my nonprofits, my churches and stuff. So for them, I offer like a whole range of services from the complete website development, even though I don't do any of the design work myself, but I offer them the whole package along with the hosting and everything. That way, they don't have to handle it. They don't have to worry about a volunteer setting stuff up and disappearing. They know they have their web developer there to handle it for them. And the interesting thing is that when it comes to products and services, I also do like my books. I feel like that that's a big thing that gets me customers. Um, then
So
you
that's
know
one of the most, that's where you get a lot of your customer, you attract a lot of customers with your books?
Yes, yes, my books bring me in a lot of customers. It's funny because I think it's Rochelle Shaw who says that I don't know one way of getting 84 customers, but I know 84 ways of getting one customer. So
Oh,
if you
that's right.
use all those different ways, you get those customers. So between like my books, doing videos, um, and things like the ad widget after content plugin in the WordPress repository. That plugin has brought me so many customers and attention from companies and stuff. And then, okay, I can keep going on and on and on, Carrie. Um, what services or products do you offer to attract customers and clients?
Well, I'm a lot like you and do a lot of different things. I do web design and development. If it's any kind of real advanced development, then I come to you, of course, and have you do it for my customers and contract with you. I do hosting services, and I actually have a pretty unique system for my hosting. I am teaching other web designers and developers how to run a hosting system. So it's kind of a service within itself. I do website security and maintenance, of course. I also do on-page SEO and some analytics. I've been getting more and more into the Google Analytics and providing my customers with that type of thing. Online marketing, which of course comes with being in the business that we're in, being in the people business and marketing yourself and or your business. But my most favorite thing to do is WordPress instruction. And I think I attract most of my customers by attending different training events that have a chat available and connecting with the people in the chat and offering to help them meet whatever need that they seem to mention during the chat. And a lot of times I follow that up with a 30-minute free consult, which I think we're going to talk about a little bit later, so I'll save that. But yeah, just like you, I could go on and on about all the services that I can provide. And I wanted to go off topic here a little bit because In doing that, do you find that sometimes you really have to be careful in balancing all of the different hats that you wear? And um, what about what? How important is it to have a niche market?
You know, I find that it's important to determine who you want to focus on because it's easier for someone to recommend you if you're known for doing something.
Yeah.
So, like in our network, I get a lot of recommendations when someone needs PHP work or they need a custom plugin or they need a plugin tweaked or something dealing with PHP because they know that's what I do.
Right.
Um, like if someone comes to me and they're trying to figure out how to learn something related to WordPress, since I don't train on how to do things with WordPress anymore, I always refer them to you, Kerry. So if it's a designer and they can't find a hosting company that they're happy with, guess what? I send them to Kerry. So I mean, because that's what I know her for, and it's all about when people know that you do something, when they know you for something, then it's easier for them to recommend you when someone needs that service.
Yeah, that kind of goes along to probably a future show on branding and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It leads to that and how you want to, present yourself and what your online presence is actually going to be.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, I used to think I needed to have a specific niche market, and I was focused on a niche market. But I've moved away from that niche market to being more focused on a discipline, which being more of the PHP related aspect of things, more of being just staying with that discipline instead of focusing on just a specific niche. So, market, yeah.
Okay, so moving on, if you're new in the business or even if you're not new in the business and let's say you're in a lull or maybe you lost some clients that decided to go else for some services, what do you do to find new customers?
Oh, wow. To find new customers, a great way to find new customers is to create content. Create content related to what you do,
Hmm.
whether it's video content, if you create videos, distribute it to multiple places, YouTube, your own website, which should be your marketing hub where everything starts at your website, writing blog posts, keeping your content out there. Also, and I'm a big believer in hanging out in the places where your customers are. So I think that's a big one.
Yeah, I
What,
agree.
what about you, Carrie? What do you recommend?
Well, I like what you said at the beginning about hanging out in the forums and really instead not necessarily just hanging out, but really paying attention to what it is that people are looking for. We know that one of the primary concepts of a successful business is meeting people's needs.
Yes.
As long as you can fulfill a need and identify that need, then you're going to have the ability to bring income in.
Now I have a question, Carrie.
You
Now,
bet.
do you think when you help people, does it help you improve the services that you offer, like when you do your one-on-one sessions with people?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Because a lot of the times, um, well, a lot of times they're gonna see how I troubleshoot. I give them a glimpse into how I think, and so my thinking process is always being improved upon, and things that I recognize when I see it again, I can say to somebody, I know this because I've seen this here, and then they can learn it from me. And yet, at the same time, if we come across something that I am not quite sure, I say, okay, let's figure out how we can find this out, and then we go through the process of really troubleshooting it and getting down to the nitty gritty, which most people don't like to do themselves. They like to. It's funny how they like to have somebody helping them troubleshoot,
Yes.
and I really enjoy troubleshooting. Most often when I can find the answer at the end. It's kind of frustrating when you can't sometimes, but it
Yeah,
happens.
yeah, yeah.
So another area, let's talk about scaling services. That's another way that you can, even if you have services in place and you're looking to gain some new customers maybe, finding a way to scale what you're already doing is another good way to find new customers. Would you agree?
Yes, I think once you learn how to scale what you're already doing, it allows you to basically cover an area that you were not able to do. But before you can do that, you have to be able to fine tune what you're already doing. And it's interesting because I found the best way for me to fine tune what I was already doing was to do some things that were not so scalable, which meant personal attention for my customers. It meant a lot of actual phone time with them, a lot of direct emails, and not necessarily the scalable items because it was based on my personal time. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I found that when I did a lot of the one-on-one, that helped me get to the point where I could scale the things that I do because I had a better understanding of what was needed. So,
Mm-hmm. It's interesting you said that because I know one of the things that I pride myself in is my high customer satisfaction. And I mean, you always have this fear that someone's going to leave you a bad review. And I'm not looking for them by any means, but I was amazed after I started doing this that when you really communicate with your clients and talk to them and with them and really solve their problems, it very rarely are you going to ever get a negative review. And as you do that more and more, you will actually see that there is a pattern to it, and you can create that automated version of what you were doing one-on-one and then be able to scale it.
yeah. And it's interesting that you bring that up, Carrie, because it's like the better you communicate with your customers, the more they appreciate you. Even if they stop using the service that you offer them, oftentimes I find that they may stop using the service that I offer, but they'll refer someone else. Or 6 months down the line, when they feel like they need my services again, they come back to me. So it's sometimes, it's not, oh, well, they left me so they didn't like my service. No. And even if a customer sends me a message that, okay, well, I want to end this service after this month, or I want to stop this. Oh, fine, great. Here you are. I appreciate your business. Let me know if there's anything else I can help you with, and just keep going from there. They're still a customer as far as I'm concerned. They're just not active, but they're still my customer, and I treat all my customers just like I want to be treated.
Right, exactly. And another thing. Oh, I lost my train of thought, but it'll come back to me here. Give me a second. When you're talking to the customers and they're going to leave you, I always find giving them as much information as I can for them to be successful even after they leave me is a huge, huge plus for them, because then they aren't coming back. They don't really have anything to say against you, and 90% of the time, the customers that tell me they're leaving and I give them all of the information they need to leave, they're like, oh, I think we're just going to stay. I'm like, okay, that's fine too. And you have a rate increase. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey.
No, you have to treat your customers well, and they will treat you well. That's a good one. Yeah. All right, so there's a lot of ways that we can learn and grow in our businesses to run our businesses better. And to me, that's what work smarter and not harder means, with some additional things. But I want to know what it means to you to work smarter and not harder.
Okay, wow. That's a big one. When it comes to working smarter, not harder, sometimes it can come down to something as simple as go to bed. Get off that computer and go to bed. Okay? Because, sometimes we push ourselves to work harder, to do more, to get more done, but are we really getting more done?
Mm-hmm.
Are we really accomplishing what we want to accomplish? So seriously, as a developer sometimes, and I know, Carrie, you have this same thing, sometimes it's just best to say, okay, you know what? I'll come back to this tomorrow.
Yeah, and sometimes when you do that, you come back and it's like you get it done in like 10 seconds, and you're like, wow, how did that happen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fresher. And also I think working smarter instead of harder comes down to sometimes you need to look at your business and determine, okay, This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm getting out of it. Is what I'm doing working, or do I need to try something different? Maybe I'm going in one direction. Maybe I need to pivot and go in another direction. And so sometimes you just have to make those hard choices, those hard decisions to say, okay, the smarter choice in this may be to say no to this project and do this other project. It may be maybe I need to switch my target market to a higher value target market, which I know in the beginning that was for me. I had to go from the low budget market to a higher value market, to the kind of market where, I feel like I'm getting paid what I'm worth and they're getting the value that they want. So
that's definitely an area that that I still struggle with, and not that I don't want to move the market. My target market, the people that I most enjoy helping, are the beginners who really don't know anything, and I love to give them a layman's explanation and definition and roadmap for how to get from point A to point B and really have them deeply understand it. But at the same time, I know that the beginners are not a high-priced market to go after. So it's a balancing act, and it's definitely taken some time to adjust to, and I'm not willing to give up on those people, because one of the things that got me into doing this was I never wanted to forget what it was like when I was beginning and didn't know the answers and couldn't find them. I want to be the person who provides that for people. And so that's the core of me and what I do. Something else I wanted to talk about in reference to smarter and not harder has to do with income. There's lots of stuff out there, and I think we're going to hit on it in a future episode, more than likely, the different types of income. But for me, working smarter and not harder is always building my business so that the income that I don't have to do as much work for or put in as much time for is increasing, while the work that I am doing, maybe trading time for hours, is going down. So I'm always trying to increase my passive income and decrease my active income, always. And eventually, I'm, hopefully going to be able to build to a point where the majority of my income, maybe even all of my income, is passive income, and not so much where I have to put in, my 80 hours a week or however many hours we work.
Yeah.
So anything else from you?
I think that about wraps it up. I think it's all about, or let's just go to our tweet for today. Today's tweet tip: make working smarter part of your business process.
Yep, I love it. So as always, guys, we encourage you to submit your web design and development questions for our next episode right on our website at 2dwebsolutions.com.
Each episode, we answer up to 5 different but related questions, finding you the solutions you need to the aspects of web design and development.
So long, guys.
Bye.